If you're a fan of the Phantom of the Opera, this is the Phantom of Math. And this is part 2, where I'm going to equate this with when Christine is beginning to get mesmerized by the Phantom. In this case, I'm going to mesmerize you with subtracting rational expressions. I know it's a stretch, but I'm having fun here. So we need to find a least common denominator, all right? This is one where we have to factor our denominators first. So I've got 2x over x plus 3 times x minus 3. Over here, that's going to factor down to, so one of the factors are either going to be x plus 3 or x minus 3. And how I know that is I'm looking over here at the easier factor case. Sometimes you can look at these easier factors to see if we can figure out, well, one of the factors are going to be for the harder factor. See, you're getting mesmerized already. You can see it. Yeah, I can see through your screen. Yeah. Well, let's see. I've got a plus 3 here and a minus here, which means they're both going to be subtracted. And my only option is x minus 3 and x minus 1, right? Because a negative 3 times a negative 1 is a positive 3, and a negative 3 plus a negative 1 would be that negative 4. So those are my factors. Now, like I said before, if you've been watching some of my videos, if you don't know how to factor to this point, you're dead in the water, man. You're not going anywhere. So you got to get really good at factoring because, as you can see, it's all over the place now. Let's find my least common denominator. It's going to be x plus 3, x minus 3, and x minus 1. Okay? It is not so red's bad, x plus 3, x minus 3 squared, and x minus 1. Okay, that's not my least common denominator. It is a common denominator, but it's not my least common denominator. People make this mistake right there, that's squared, because they say, oh yeah, I've got my x minus 3 showing up twice, therefore that's part of my least common denominator. Yeah, beware. The Phantom's coming to get you if you do that. I don't know if your kids should be watching this video, by the way. I'm probably going to be freaking out right now. Okay, if you've got kids. So, let's take a look. 2x over the x plus 3 and x minus 3. What's missing? I've got the x plus 3, I've got the x minus 3. I'm missing the x minus 1, right? So let's multiply top and bottom of this guy. What you do to the top, you do to the bottom, by an x minus 1. Minus 3 over x minus 3 times x minus 1. What's missing? Let's see, the x plus 3. 3 is my favorite number, but darn if I could write the 3. Okay, so I've got my least common denominator. I need to write this thing as just one fraction. To do that, what I'm going to do is actually pause this video so I can erase some board and free up some space. And I'm going to transpose what I've got in my bottom here and move it up to the top so that I can work below that. So hang tight just for a sec. Okay, I've transported it to the top. So what I'm going to do now is write this so I have just one numerator, or just one fraction. So I'm going to take 2x times a quantity of x minus 1 minus 3 times a quantity of x plus 3. And it's all over x plus 3, x minus 3, and x minus 1. It's a lot easier to see this if you write this as one fraction like that. My next step is going to be to distribute my 2x through the x minus 1 and the negative 3 through the x plus 3, like this. 2x squared minus 2x minus 3x plus the 9. And it's all over x plus 3, x minus 3, and x minus 1. Now, if you're thinking I'm doing just fine without any mistakes, you have fallen into the trap of the Phantom. Because I screwed up right there. I don't know if you picked up. If you picked up on that, then you have not fallen into the trap of the phantom. Because that is a mistake right there. -3 times a +3 is a -9, right? So if you got that, nice job. I'm going to clean up my numerator now. So I'm going to have 2x squared minus 5x minus 9. And it's all over my least common denominator. X plus 3, x minus 3, x minus 1. And that's my answer right there. The numerator is a prime trinomial. It won't factor. A lot of people they do this sort of thing. They'll just, instead of writing the least common denominator over and over, they'll just write like a squiggly line or LCD or something. And then in the end, they pick it up again. And that's fine. Just don't forget to do that. I do that all the time myself, just because I'm lazy. It's probably a bad habit. I probably shouldn't be showing you bad habits. And I didn't here. I just kind of talked about it. So I'm going to equate this part to where Christine got mesmerized, right? In the Phantom of the Opera. The climax is coming in the next video.